Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at the best champions in the preseason, and this will be pretty close to the meta we head into Season 9 with now as well. I do know it's preseason, but any LP that you earn now will raise your MMR and hopefully help with your placements next season so you don't get stuck in iron. Again, builds and stuff are from Mobalytics, the same as with the career video. The new profile pages are amazing for keeping track of how you're doing. You can filter by champion. You can even go back to different patches from this season and see what's happening. Like in 8.4, my glorious AP Varus, which Riot sadly killed. Link below to check yours out, but let's jump into our first role, which is ADC. Now, I actually ban Lucian right now. He is very strong, but it's so boring to play against him almost every single game. There's not much of a downside to him. He's a lane bully. He can murder most matchups. He's not a support dependent. He's got damage from range, burst, and he can stay safe. So far in this patch, his early game win rate is about the same, if not higher than a Draven. And I think with tower plates in the game, it's made that playstyle even stronger. The other AD, I think you can pick any game and be fine with. The other one who can truly hard carry is going to be Ezreal, so he is our runner-up. With this new W, mid to late game, you can actually destroy people from high range while kiting away and being one of the safest AD carries to play. You can farm from range with your Q in the lane phase, so it's not that bad if you have a bad support. You can nab a few kills as well if you do have a good support, but honestly, being able to build armor with Ice Spawn and kite all of these damage picks is amazing because you're not going to be as easy to kill. The other runner-up would be Kaiser, and there is no doubt that once you get to 3+ items with her, you start to win a lot of games, but she isn't as beastly mid-game as she used to be before. I also like her because even though you do scale, you have way more damage in the lane phase compared to other scaling picks, and especially if you hit that W into your passive, proccing it can net you a lot of kills. Aside from the damage that you bring, you are short range, but you have your ultimate and your invisibility to stay safe and juke people, making her one of the hardest AD carries to focus down in teamfights, which can actually be really frustrating to play against. I kind of knew AD carry since 8.24b is Caitlyn, and she was buffed, and next to the sensor supports coming back, I genuinely think she's actually really strong. I'm not sure what it is, but she feels so much better to play. You've got high range, good damage, good wave clear, and some kill potential if you have a decent trap. Obviously as well, you scale well and you have this really good late game, but to be honest, if you get the dream game, a strong support versus a weak lane that lets you push and take tower plays, it is such a good pick and you will get a massive lead. My underrated AD carry for this video is going to be Tristana, who is a terror in the lane phase at the moment. No joke, this patch, since the buffs in 8.24b, she is winning as much as a Lucian or a Draven early game. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's because her bomb damage is nuts. She can destroy towers with it as well, and you can easily 2v2, but the problem is more after that phase. Actually, until you get to like 3+ items, you're just not going to be as strong. Let's take a trip to our mid laners, and if you play mid lane right now, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about how good AP Galio is. He's pretty broken right now with his Q and his ultimate damage. There is almost no reason not to pick him up, and he's kind of free low if you do. They changed him in 8.24, so a patch ago, more damage, less utility, but that's perfectly fine, and he's very hard to play against. The reason for that is because he's going to poke and push with his Q from range. The mana cost on that is lower now, so he can spam it. It'll easily chunk half your health later into the game, and to be honest, if you get caught in his ultimate, you're pretty much dead now. If AP Galio is our best at the moment, then Cassio is now moved down to number 2, I think, just because of the 8.24b nerfs definitely did some damage to her. We're still going to be maxing our Q though with Arcane Comet, and that is where the strength really comes in this pick, to be honest. This page is amazingly good and it makes her way better. She probably wasn't even a tier 1 mid laner until this page kind of sprung up, but you have so much damage now with it. You hit 1 Q and you can chase somebody down in lane and completely destroy them. You're going to be spitting out your Arcane Comets non-stop with the cooldown refund like built in, and definitely you're one of the best mid lane picks we have at the moment. LeBlanc is still going to be here as well for me, one of the best solo carry champs from the mid lane. Somehow always manages to get fed and is a nightmare to play against. Galio and a few other picks can definitely make her life harder because they push so hard and they kind of shut her down a little bit, but if she can pop off, get a couple of kills maybe, then she'll roam and delete everybody. It mostly depends on the player, honestly. They can be pretty bad obviously and make her look useless, but they can be amazing, and if she gets a few kills, she can 1v9 the game pretty much alone. We're seeing a lot more Nico spring up now, and one thing that we've really noticed is her full combo is absurd, but especially her ultimate. 200 to 650 damage based on that, and 130% of your AP that hits everybody around you. Her poke is pretty good, and her catch is great with her E through minions, but it's really that one-shot potential that makes people not want to play against her and why she's banned so often. I feel like this is a champion that will also get a lot better with time when people really learn how to use her W clone system, because it's something right now that most don't use. For our underrated mid laner, we're going to look at Vigor. Maybe not my normal definition of underrated, but he's barely even played, even though he's seriously strong. On a good player, he seems to pull damage out of his ass. I have no idea where that comes from. He scales really well, has a really good team fight, and he can even fall back on his cage. One of the best crowd controls I think anybody has to help his team or pick up fights. We do have kind of a new king of the jungle at the moment as well. Kazakhs is now the second most popular jungler after Lee Sin, and he's definitely an absolute monster. His damage is crazy high, but he also scales really well with either Electrocute or Dark Harvest. By the way, I've included Electrocute. I think it's a bit more standard, but honestly, a lot of junglers have been nerfed around him while he's been left alone. There's not really anything different that people do that we can talk about. His early isn't the best, honestly, but once he gets his evolutions, a few items, he can definitely hard carry the game, and isolation damage now is completely bonkers. The runner-up would be Xin Zhao for me, and he is back as an early game monster, but this time around, it's the good old Phase Rush move speed build. The item build is the same, but we take Phase Rush, Celerity, Water Walking, all working together now and letting you chase and smash somebody into the ground. Xin has this crazy damage early. He can duel basically anybody, fight for crabs, win 2v2s, probably 2v3s to be honest, and demolish towers to get a few extra plates and some more gold. There are a lot of different champions that could be in our other runner-up spot. We could have Kayn, Graves, Camille, but I really want to mention Yi. Especially at lower ranks, this guy is nuts, but his build got even better apparently after the Rage Blade rework, and now once he has maybe 2 to 3 items, he will just 1v9 the game, and there's not really much we can do to stop him in this meta. At the moment, we have this problem where we have a massive lack of crowd control, and instead we bring some damage. Now, he will run over an entire team like that. As long as you don't lose too hard early, you really need crowd control to stop him auto-attacking. If you don't stop him, he's going to kill you. The new pick for 8.24b is a Nunu, who is hugely underrated at the moment, and actually a good frontliner, engaged tank that brings a bit of damage as well. There's a few things with this. So the rune page is actually sick. Aftershock is your keystone, but Font of Life is amazing, healing his entire team, and he can proc this constantly with how many slows and like roots and knockups that he has. Then also stat shards have helped a ton as well. He can go CDR into double armor or armor and health, but the point is more cooldown reduction is more snowballs, even more annoying and even more disruption. And for our underrated choice in the jungle, we have Vi, who is quietly becoming quite good again actually. It makes sense, she has damage herself, but she hard shuts down a lot of assassin-y kind of picks with her ultimate. People have forgotten that she can easily one-shot people with Electrocute and a damage build, but failing that, she can engage for your team and has amazing ganks after level 6. Now let's hop into our support picks. So sensor supports are becoming way better, by the way, since 8.24b where they buffed all of them, but for now they can still be beaten early game. Zarya is the best champion at doing this because she has constant poke, but really good burst potential with her ultimate and her plants. I think she might do more damage than both AD carries put together in the late phase, probably, especially with Liandry's, and it's like having a double carry bot lane, which is obviously way harder to play against and a lot more damage there. The reason I think she's number 1 at the moment over anything else you can run is because even in team fights mid game, she carries. Like, she isn't win lane or lose the game. She will actually kill everybody even later into the game. Now, Pyke is actually a lot more like that, but he is probably the best kill lane in the game at the moment, and he turns into a second jungler. On a good player, Pyke is amazing. This is a part that he brings that nobody else really does. He can roam so well. It's on another level and impact the rest of the map, but not just his lane. The thing is though, if you don't win bot lane, or you don't get ahead, or your team doesn't, or you at least do well, then sensor supports will start to do a bit more later game, and you're probably going to struggle. Brand is our other runner-up. Just quickly, he's kind of the same deal as well as like Zyra and Pyke. Very strong in the lane phase and has some huge kill potential. The really good thing about Brand that I love is that even if your AD carry is pretty bad, you can actually carry that lane and still get a few kills and still help your team win. But the thing is, if you do pair him up with a strong AD, a good AD player, there's no way you're going to be losing that lane. I'd say he's actually more brutal in lane than Zyra, but his mid game isn't quite as good. A new support is no surprise, it's a sensor support, but Soraka is borderline broken, and she's new here because of the sensor buffs. She can heal through a lot of damage in the lane phase. She can keep a bad AD farming who keeps taking damage, but she buffs their damage as well as you get later into the game and keeps them alive versus anything that you throw at them. The reason I'm mentioning Soraka and not Janna or Lulu or something like that is because Soraka's lane phase, in my opinion, is better. It's better poke, and you still need a strong lane in this meta with some damage, otherwise you're going to get rolled over. Zilean is so underrated for that reason as well. His lane phase is decent. He can slow, set up a lot of ganks, double bomb if he doesn't get blown up himself. Like, it's very easy to kill a Zilean. Thankfully, even if you do lose your lane, you have a revive, and honestly, if your team team is doing well, your ultimate pretty much seals the win, as the enemy team has to kill somebody really strong twice, which is obviously very, very difficult. Finally, then we're moving into our top lane. So our best pick right now, I think, is Riven. She's shot up since the preseason, and she can definitely hard carry games again. You've got some great damage, really good healing, lots of choice with runes, and even the new Kleptomancy can be really good on her, but I think that's only for a few matchups. There are so many builds, by the way. You can slot in an Essence Reaver, Dustblade, Storm Razor. There are so many good items that Riven can buy, but this is just an example of something pretty typical. Runner-up wise though, Urgot is still an absolute terror because it's not easy to win lane against him, and it's not easy to play against him when he has his 2 to 3 item spike. At that point, he's going to have a ton of health. He's pretty hard to kill, but he's going to charge at you, do some good damage himself, and then execute you straight after. Shield Bash actually seems pretty good on him, but item-wise, you can definitely slot in your Frozen Mallet or Death Dance or something like that if you want to get more damage and carry yourself. Our other runner-up is going to be Darius, who is really good early game with this more damage-heavy build. Before, it was kind of a sort of split between Cleaver and Trinity, but now Trinity Force wins way more. You're able to snowball a bit harder with that build. You get the Tower Plate Gold as well, and you use that to try and end before hitting the point where others outscale you. The only issue Darius might start having is if we see loads of protection sensor supports who can kite him and keep him away from the AD carry, he's going to be much worse in teamfights, so we'll see how long he lasts. This is a pretty cool one. So Vlad has this new build, which is seriously good, and a lot of people are starting to abuse it at higher ranks. Going Phase Rush, a Nimbus Cloak, cooldown reduction, your Gathering Storm to scale, cooldown reduction in your stat shards, and cooldown reduction in Inspiration as well. Then we go into Proto Belt plus Spellbinder, and we basically move insanely fast. We do a ton of damage, and we have a lot of built-in cooldown reduction without having to stack it from items. I can't really say anything to do it justice. It's actually a really good build, really top tier, and you should definitely try it. Finally then, our underrated top lane pick is going to be Kaiser, who is hugely underrated at the moment. His build is really good with Rylai's and the Andrews. He heals for a ton with his shield, like a ton. He does a lot of damage, and he can actually use Shield Bash really well, as he's constantly got a shield or getting a new one in combat. Like, everything together is just perfect for him. So that is going to wrap up the preseason best champions, and the next time we'll do this video, we'll officially have started Season 9 finally. As always, let us know any picks you have down below. Thank you for watching the video until the very end, but for now, I'll leave you with the robots.